Hi friends, it's Vicki Boutin here, and I have one of my favorite products to share with you today and 5 easy ways to use it. It's the Creative FX series of glazes that I've created with American Crafts, and I can't wait to show you a bunch of easy ways to use them and just all the basics that go along with this product. So get ready, it's going to be so much fun. So this product, my friends, is super near and dear to my heart. It is one of my favorites. It's the Vicki Boutin set of glazes. So we have 5 different glazes. We have the gold, and these are called Creative FX Glazes. This is the gold glaze. Iridescent, which is like crushed happy unicorn tears. We have the silver. We have the rose gold. And last but not least, the Prism. So this one is brand new, and it's the blue with this green tone to it. I love it. So 5 different Creative FX glazes. Let's open them up and take a look. So some of these are going to be a little harder to find. This one is still out there, and I want to share it with you because if you have it, I want you to use it. But at this current time, we are not selling it, or American Crafts isn't selling it anymore. But I think it still deserves a little bit of a share in case you have it or you see it out and about and you're wondering what it does. So all of the glazes do pretty much the same thing, but they're all just different colors. So let's take a look. We have gold, which is beautiful. Let's get my palette knife out here. And it is a beautiful yellowy gold color. Wipe that off so I can show you the next one. I just need to find a paper towel. Let's just use my cloth here, wipe it off. We have the iridescent, which is one of my favorites, which is this beautiful, like crushed diamonds. The color is like crushed diamonds. So some of these are older. When you open yours, they're going to be a lot looser and more fluid, but these have been well loved and sitting around my craft room for a while. Let's look at the silver. This one's brand new, so when you open it, you're going to get this little silver liner on here, and this is what the silver looks like. Isn't that beautiful? And that's more the consistency when it's brand new. Oops, I don't have to put the lid on, but I'm going to keep that piece on there for now, just because what am I going to do with it? It's messy. And then look at the rose gold. Isn't that beautiful? So it's a pink color with a gold tinge to it. Wipe that off and show you the Prism glaze, which is a little bit more liquid in consistency, but it has this beautiful green shade to the blue. I love it. I call it like mermaid scale. It's beautiful. So let me show you the magic we can make with Vicki Boutin Creative FX glazes. So up first, let's show you rose gold and one of the uses for the glazes. I want you to see what it looks like right out of the jar. And like always, I have my paper prepped, and let's put it on a little bit of the foundations paper. So the glaze is a heavier body consistency, and you could use it, I'm making a mess, like a texture paste. So right out of the gate, there's one use. Look at how beautiful that is. Is just as a textural layer that has this beautiful metallic finish. So you could just put it on your project like this, and I'm going to show you something actually. Let's do step 1. If we put it down in a heavier layer, not super thick, but here's one thing we can do in the glazes. So I'm just showing you the different colors with each of the techniques so we can see an effect. So I'm going to dig through my mess here, and I know I had a rubber stamp. So I'm going to take this rubber stamp, and I'm just going to mist it with some water just as a releasing agent. And we can do this fun technique where we, oops, upside down, just stamp into the glaze to create, mist it, clean it off a bit. And I'll stamp in it again, and I'll show you this effect. You don't want the stamp to be too wet because then it'll make your glaze wet, but you want it to be wet enough that it will release. Oh, that's pretty. Let's do another one. See, because look at it, it's carrying over. So that's one way that we can use a glaze. It's a texture paste, but we could stamp into it with a rubber stamp to create that beautiful effect. So let's let that one dry and let me show you number 2, the second thing we can do using the Creative FX Glazes. Can't wait to share it. So another way we can use the Creative FX Glaze, and I'm going to use the silver one to show you, is through a stencil as a texture. So I like to do this a lot of times as the last layer. So after I've maybe done a watercolor kissing technique or something on the back, then I'll just use the glaze as that fun kind of textural element at the end. So I just load it on to the bottom of my paint stencil. Vicki, this is a palette knife, on the back of my palette knife, and then I just feed it through the stencil. Oh, it's so pretty. This looks like a silver foil. Love it. And then I can get this great textural effect with the Creative FX Glaze. So that is actually, let's call that step number 2. So the second thing I can use the glaze for. So let me show you number 3. Here is one of my favorite ways to use the glazes. Let's pull this one. This is the Prism glaze, a stencil, and a stencil brush. So let me find my little sheet of plastic that you know I like to apply. Can't find it. Oh, found it. I'm going to put a little bit of the glaze down. Ooh, little nuggets came off the dirty lid. I don't need a thick layer of this because it doesn't have a ton of open time, okay? You need to work a little on the quicker side when you do this technique. So I'm gonna put it on my sheet of plastic in a circular motion. I'm gonna load my stencil brush, and then I can use this in a more controlled way, and it's a flatter effect. It's not going to have that lift and texture that the palette knife would, the effect with a palette knife would give me. But I love this. It's controlled, it's soft, so it's adding the glaze with the stencil brush, and look how pretty that is. And so you can get the full effect. I want you to see what this looks like texturally as well, because this Prism glaze is stunning. So I'll line the stencil up again, kind of. I'm all right if it's not perfect. And then with the palette knife, I'm just going to put it on. Oh, I grabbed the dirty stuff on the side. So give me a sec, let me wipe that off and use 2 hands. Oh, can you see that? I love that 2-tone effect with the Prism glaze. So now I'm going to put it as a textural layer so you can see how beautiful this is, and it looks gorgeous on black. But look at that effect. Isn't that beautiful? And you'll find when you first open this, it's a little bit more fluid, but as the product starts to dry a little bit, it turns into more of a texture paste. But I love that. So there is another way to use Creative FX Glazes. You can use it with a stencil brush, through a stencil, to get a really soft application that dries immediately. This, as a texture paste, takes a little bit longer. With the stencil brush, it's a lot faster, and it's a really soft and subtle effect. So there's another way to use, and then make sure you clean your stencil brush and stencil right away, and your palette knife. And now I'm going to show you another way to use the glazes. So here's a little tip I want to share when you're cleaning your stencil brush. So you're just going to take it in a little bit of water. I'm just dipping it into water, and then just in a circular motion, this is how I clean it. So you rub it, rub it, rub it, rub it till there is no pigment coming off. Now my cloth's dirty, so you can't tell that it's all clean. And then to make my bristles go nice and tight again, let's move this stuff out of the way. I just take a paper towel and I roll it nice and tight. And that is how I take care and store my stencil brushes. If you do that, when you're done and you take it out to use it the next time, it will be nice and tight and clean and ready to go. So just roll it tight, set it aside to dry, and that's how I clean these. Another fun tip is if you use your stencil brush with water on top of the stencil, it's a great way to clean these stencils off. So fun tip, and now I'm going to show you the next thing to use the glazes for. So this is going to be super magical. One of the awesome ways to use the iridescent glaze is they're water soluble as well. So you can make watercolor out of all of these so you get beautiful metallic watercolor. So I'm going to take the iridescent glaze, I'm going to put some onto my mat here. Okay, so see, you can see it's like diamonds. And what's nice is there's no pigment load in here. It's just going to be a neutral that I can add any kind of color to. So I could add watercolor, I could put pigment powder in here, or because it's going to be quick and easy, I'm going to add a few drops of watercolor marker just to show you that you can make your own iridescent watercolor with this. So let's pick my favorite color, which is Blue Hawaiian, which is a turquoise, and I'm going to just drop, a couple of drops of the pigment into the glaze. And then I can blend this. So look at, when I'm done blending this, I could totally make a tinted texture paste of diamonds. So I could put this through a stencil and have a tinted texture paste. But I'm going to show you what else we can do with these, okay? So now I've made this beautiful iridescent turquoise. And now I'm going to take some water. I'm going to blend it. I'm going to use my mister because it'll be faster, okay? Oh my goodness. I wish you could see this. I don't know if you can. But as soon as you add water into this, I ended up, it looks like diamonds. I always call it like it's like a diamond paste. It's beautiful. Crushed happy unicorn tears. Can you see that beautiful metallic in there? So now you'll see it when I kiss it to this watercolor paper. Love it. I'm telling you, this stuff is my favorite thing. I love the glazes. Tons of different things you can use. And I'm really only touching like the tip of the iceberg. But let's do this kissing technique. And then you'll see all the diamonds dancing in this pigment. Oh, it's beautiful. And when it dries, it'll be really pretty. So can you see the metallic? And I don't know if with the light, if you can see it, but it is sparkly diamond watercolor. I could then take this and I could paint a stamp image with it. I could put this layer on top. I could use my stencil brush just like we do with all the other different watercolor techniques. But I love that. Let's kiss this, what's left here, on a piece of foundations paper so you can see it without the texture in the background with the watercolor paper. So just give me a second, grabbing a little piece of foundation that is under my stack of stuff here. Okay, and we'll take what's left on here and kiss it on to the foundations paper, and then you can, oh, you can really see it on here. So see the diamonds in there? Oh, it's beautiful. So there's yet another thing we can do with the glazes is you can tint them and use them as watercolor. If I went in just with the gold and put it with water, it would be just a really pretty gold watercolor. I could tint some pink and blue and it would just be like a glaze or a watercolor that has a overall gold sheen with another pigment underneath it. But I love that. That's beautiful. So I'll let these dry and I'll let you see what they all look like at the end. One more thing to show you using the Creative FX Glazes. Another way we can use them. It's so pretty. Get ready for it. So in a past video, I had this mister filled with water and I put pigment powder in it. I can then take one of my glazes, and I didn't show gold yet. Let's put that in and see what happens. So I can take some of the gold glaze, put it in here with the pigment powder, and then we can have like a gold metallic mist. Get ready for it. So now you have to shake this up like crazy, okay? And what will happen is it will have like a white finish to it because it's just whatever the binder is with the gold. When you mix it, it just makes it look white, but then it will dry matte. So this is going to be like a metallic blue. Okay, I have it all shaken up in here. Now, of course, when I put the gold in with the blue, I think it's going to give it a little tinge of green in here, but it's still going to have that metallic effect. So let's just lay a stencil down. I have this daisy one, and let's see what it looks like when we put it in here. So imagine if the blue had been in here with iridescent, you'd just have sparkly blue. But let's see what, because it's fun. This is what we do, practice and play. Now let's mist that in here and see what effect we get. It's going to be so pretty. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. So I need to let it dry, but I'm going to show. It made kind of a gray effect, but you have that metallic in there. So probably in hindsight, this would be super pretty. I'm going to grab another card with the iridescent, but I'm still kind of digging that gold that we're pulling through. And when I stamp it, you're going to see it a little bit more. So let's just press this down and see what effect. It's actually really pretty. Look at that. So you can see where the blue is pulling away and the gold is just sitting on top. When this dries, it's going to be absolutely stunning. So let me let that dry, and I'm going to show you all the different effects we got using the Vicki Boutin Creative FX Glazes. Okay, my friends, so let's recap what we did here. This is the rose gold that you can take your glazes and just use it as a texture paste, but on this one, I stamped into it. Isn't that beautiful? I hope you can see the pretty metallic effect and the stamping into it. We can use the glazes. This is a silver glaze through a stencil as a texture paste. Absolutely stunning. Here is the glaze with a stencil brush, so you get immediately dry, a lighter effect, and then shows you the new Prism glaze as a texture paste through the stencil. Isn't that beautiful? I'm hoping it shows up on the camera, that pretty metallic effect. Oh my goodness, iridescent glaze, and I put a couple drips of, or drops of, the watercolor marker to show that you can use them as a watercolor, and you can tint and make iridescent watercolor with anything. Really, any water-soluble product, you can get that. Here it is on foundations paper, and I think you can really see that effect on there. It's absolutely beautiful. So that's the iridescent glaze. Here is the gold glaze in the mister. Look at how pretty that is, the gold glaze, and it was a mister I'd used in another video with the blueberry pie pigment powder. Look how beautiful that is. And this is through the stencil. Isn't that beautiful? It turned kind of gray the more of the gold I put in. And this is with the stencil stamping. So I took the dirty stamp or stencil and just tapped it or pressed it onto a card. Isn't that beautiful? I'm sure now you know why one of my favorite products are the Vicki Boutin, let me show you, Vicki Boutin Creative FX Glazes. 5 different colors. Love them. What do you think? Wasn't that a ton of fun? I love those glazes, and there are so many things that you can do with them, even beyond the 5 ways that I showed you on this video. So I can't wait to hear your feedback, so leave your comments below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and I can't wait to see what you're creating. So make sure that you share and tag me so I can see all the beautiful art you're making, and get ready for the next part of the series of 5 easy ways. It'll be posted tomorrow. Thanks, guys.